Rock and Austin fight for the title that I'm holding, and I'm watching John Cena run into the ring, and I'm looking at my boys going, we did it.
What's up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is a two-time WWE champion and the first two-time Grand Slam champ in WWE history. His episode of Biography, WWE Legends, premieres this Sunday on A&E, and if his hand goes up, my mouth sure as heck will go shut. The Miz, how's it going, man?
It's going very good, yes. I actually haven't used when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut in quite a while, because now I'm a good guy. And I feel like a good guy really doesn't do that, right? Unless it's to the person that is the villain.
There's always someone who probably needs to shut their mouth a little bit, so I appreciate that you're using it more sparingly these days.
Very cool.
Yes. Now, we're talking about, the current iteration of The Miz is a man of the people. But before we get into the brunt of this, I always put out a fan Q&A. And I had one person leave not a question, but like a life experience I'd like to share with you. So they wrote that they still vividly remember as a child how you and R-Truth at a house show explicitly stated that the city of Winnipeg sucks. And while you really upset that child on that day, they've grown to realize that you were right and they concede. So I just want you to know that you have that victory.
I love it. I don't think you understand how many times I've told a city that they're horrible and that they're terrible and that they suck. So I'm glad that kid has that memory. And that's what, that's people always ask, why do you like being a WWE superstar? And that right there is the reason. People take home memories that will last a lifetime. Like that kid still remembers that moment in Winnipeg. That was 15 years ago. And that kid still remembers that. And that's what it's all about, like creating those moments. And it doesn't have to be me every time. I try to make it myself, but every superstar sets out to create a moment like that. So for the next 15 years, 20 years, for a lifetime, that person can talk about that moment.
Now, let's talk a little bit about you. We have this episode of WWE Legends focused on your life. And as John Cena put it, and we'll get into that as well, possibly the most underrated career in WWE history. When you hear The Miz...
What do you think?
Sorry?
What do you think?
Oh, that's a good question.
Am I the most underrated superstar in WWE history?
You're putting me on the spot. I feel like you have a very strong case. I mean, for me, one thing in doing my research, just the fact that you're the first ever two-time Grand Slam champ, an accomplishment that, the first time around puts you in there with guys like Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. Without having looked into it, you can't have that conversation without The Miz. I'll say that.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Do you feel like you've earned the title of legend? What does it mean for you to, sort of have that label put next to you?
I've told other people this. The first time I didn't know the name of this documentary. They were like, "Hey, can we do a documentary on you?" I thought it was just called The Miz, right? Documentary on The Miz. Okay, great. When the first time I saw the name of this show was, I was in the ring with R-Truth, and we were waiting for a commercial break to come back to us, and that commercial was the A&E biographies. And it was like, it showed all the highlights, like, oh, this is my documentary. Oh, this is cool. And at the end, it goes A&E biographies, WWE Legends, The Miz. And I went to Truth. I went, I'm a legend? And he goes, yeah, dog, you're a legend. I never considered myself a legend. Like, I'm still going. Like, I always feel like legends are like, they're retired for the past 10 years. That dude's a legend. Oh my God. But I guess I do have a really long career. 20 years, I guess, is kind of long.
How does it feel to get that sort of validation from John? Obviously, the two of you have worked incredibly close, but for someone who many would say is a Mount Rushmore superstar to say, guys, you've all been overlooking The Miz, relative to the credit he gets, he is one of the best. How does it feel to hear that from him?
I don't think anyone understands how much John Cena has taught me in a WWE ring, and not only inside, but outside the ring as well. And that, for him to, he's the biggest movie star in the world. He's one of the biggest. Like, he's doing Peacemaker. He's doing all these movies. He's
I saw him on the
tremendously
last
busy
night.
guy. I know that's what I said. I was watching the Bear too, like a week ago, and I'm like, Cena's in this too. Like that's crazy, and he's in everything, and but that just goes to show when Cena sets his mind on something, he goes full force and wants to do it all. And it's just like the Barbie movie, and you hear the story, like John was in town. He's like, like, would you want to be a mermaid? I'll be a mermaid, sure. That's just John Cena, and he creates a moment. He makes sure that, and I think that's what WWE does. We try to create moments, no matter how small of a role or how big of a role. You always try to create a moment, and that people talk about. And Cena is incredible at that, and I've learned a lot from him. And the fact that he made time for my documentary means the world to me because, how much time he's literally spent with me, teaching me on how to become a top caliber superstar. And I hope I have done his teachings justice. And that comment right there made me feel like I have. And that's what means the world.
Sorry, my apologies.
Go ahead.
Do you have one standout memory of working with John that comes to mind?
I have a million. I mean, obviously, main eventing WrestleMania. How about the first match we ever had at like Bash? It was a pay-per-view, and I think it was like Bash at the Beach. Or so, I don't know I remember what it's called. Great American Bash. That's it. Great American Bash. John Cena mopped the floor with me, and I thought my career was done and over. I was like, oh, that's it. And then a year later, I'm main eventing WrestleMania with John Cena, and watching his entrance. And then looking over and seeing my best friends from high school who were watching in my living room, Rock and Austin fight for the title that I'm holding. And I'm watching John Cena run into the ring, and I'm looking at my boys going, we did it. And those guys are on the documentary. And it's really cool to see kind of them talk about me because we talk all the time, right? And, they say, we're proud of you and that kind of stuff. But to hear them talk the way they've talked on this documentary, it means the world to me because they've known me the longest. They knew me before I was a WWE superstar. Knew me before I was on The Real World or Tough Enough or Fear Factor or Dancing with the Stars. Like they knew me before all of this. And they've always stood by me and always supported me through all the hard times and through the successes.
Last thing on John before we move on with the other portions of your career. He did very recently announce that next year will be sort of his retirement tour. What are the odds we get to see The Miz and John Cena in the ring together in some capacity?
I am putting my name in the hat, all right, of people that want to face John Cena, be beside John Cena, because selfishly, I've been in the ring a lot with John Cena, and selfishly, I'd want more. Right? Because that's how much fun it is getting into the ring with John Cena. But I want our new talent to experience John Cena because as much as I was taught by John and I can teach what John taught me, it's always better when you have that guy there to teach you. And so I would really want our talent, our younger talent to just feel that energy.
Now obviously I couldn't do what you do as a WWE superstar, at least not at this very moment. But I think one thing that we're arguably even further apart is something like The Real World, because I am an introvert and I get very stressed being around people for long periods of time. Who's one WWE superstar who you think would absolutely suffer having to live in a house with a bunch of strangers?
Suffer? Like would not like it at all?
No.
And could not stand it? That's a tough one because if you ask like who would be great on it, right? Like it's like Otis, I can watch that guy all day long, nonstop. Who would be like, would not like being on The Real World with a camera in their face all the time, 24/7, have to ask to leave? Off the top of my head, I would say Finn Balor would not like a camera in his face 24/7. I don't think a lot of superstars, to be honest with you, would like what The Real World was back then. Like it's unlike any. It was the realest as real could be on TV. But now you have all this social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, Snapchat, all these different YouTube, all these different avenues where people can just live their lives, and it's basically a reality show. Back then, reality shows, like if you were a reality star, like you were a no talent hack, and all you could do is just go and film yourself in front of a TV or in front of a camera, and that's all you're good at, and that's all you ever will be good at. And that's what the mentality was. Now the mentality has changed, of course, because everything's reality show now. But it back then it was very difficult to get anything in entertainment as a job because you were off the real world.
Now, I don't, like you said, and now I guess we can call you a living legend, still doing this, as far as I can tell, no signs of slowing down. I am curious, though, whenever that day comes that you are in your own retirement tour, what do you see for yourself post in-ring career? We see a lot of superstars sort of transition to a producer role, but I think especially with like how much talent and experience you have with sort of character-driven roles, I feel like you have some more interesting options than maybe some of your contemporaries. How do you see yourself being involved with WWE after the in-ring career, if at all?
I haven't. So like I'm in it right now, like, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it. My body feels good. I feel like I'm in my prime. I feel more confident than I've ever felt in WWE. And so, like, as a talent, like when I go into the ring, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how to get the audience where I want them to be, and I know how to tell it a story, and a captivating story. I can make you laugh. I can give you drama. If you need a commentator, I can do that. If you need a host, I can do that. I'm very. I feel like I'm very good at it now. Where this goes after WWE, I don't know. Like, I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great husband. I want Monroe and Madison to grow up with a dad that's there, that's present, that takes them to gymnastics or takes them to jujitsu, or soccer or wherever they want to be. Like, so that's where my mindset is at right now. You're like, well, what about your job and that kind of stuff? Like, my job is to be a dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the most important.
I'm going to go out here, and some will consider this a hot take. I'm going to say that, at least as of when we're recording this, in terms of terrorizing the WWE roster, the Wyatt Six has nothing on the original Awesome Truth run. It was such a memorable stint, but I feel like it was a
It
little
was
short.
great. We had
Yeah.
so much fun doing it.
Before, like heading in towards the end of 2011 into early 2012, we sort of saw you two separate.
Yep.
Originally, were there any sort of long-term plans to keep that going on longer, or was that always the plan to sort of end it when you did?
I don't know. I think it was drawn to end when it did, but I'm not quite sure, right? Like, I'm not in those type of meetings, and so I knew we needed to elevate ourselves to get to main event Survivor Series with The Rock and John Cena. And so this is how we got to that level. That was the match. That was the most important thing. And we sold out Madison Square Garden, main evented Survivor Series with John Cena and The Rock. Like, how crazy is that?
Insane. How much do you think? I mean, obviously, you guys have had tremendous careers. In fact, up until very recently, reuniting
Yep.
to become the World Tag Team Champs. But I'm curious, how much do you guys think you could have done with that run had they extended it and given it more than the 6 months or
Ooh.
so that it did?
Hmm. That's a good question. Like, everything. Like, I think whenever you're with our truth, you can make anything work for as long as you need it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he can always evolve everything, as well as myself. We just have a great chemistry, and I think truth has chemistry with everybody. So I think it could have lasted, of course, you know but sometimes that's not in the cards. Sometimes they need we need single stars right now. We don't need tag teams. We got to switch you guys up because I need Miz to go face Randy Orton or John Cena. I need Truth to go face this person or this person, Rey Mysterio or whoever. Like, so I need you guys split because I need singles wrestlers rather than tag teams. So sometimes it's just that it's a numbers game, right? And so, whenever your number is called for whatever is needed, you need to do it to the best of your ability.
Last thing before we finish on some rapid fire, it's often brought up that the Miz's start in the WWE, it wasn't the most welcoming environment, but
No.
clearly that did not last. And if my understanding is correct, it was maybe that 2007 match with the Undertaker that sort of started to change that perception. Is that accurate? And if not, when would you say is when you really started noticing that backstage dynamic sort of trending in a more welcoming direction for you?
That's a good question. Like, was under the 2007 match with Undertaker, that was a start. Like, that was a like him giving the nod of like approval, like the kid did good. You know, that's huge for our locker room. And I think time. It's just time. Like, I can't tell you a specific date or a specific match. Sometimes it's just time, being there, being on time, doing things that, maybe other people aren't doing, and people actually seeing that, doing all the media stuff that people don't want to do, having matches, being able to create storylines. And people are like, oh, I want to work with this guy because this guy is hated. I need to work with this guy now. Oh, wait, I thought I hated this guy. Right. So then time progresses. And then that guy is like, oh, that was the best. It worked. Everything we were doing. Then the next guy comes and it's like, oh, it worked. Oh my God. And then those two guys start talking. Then everyone starts talking. And then it creates a whole kind of telephone effect of like, hey, guess what? This is kind of good.
Let's finish this up on some rapid fire to get you out of here first. And I want you to know that I'm on board with you on this one, but I would like you to make the argument for Freddy Krueger over Jason and Michael as sort of like the badass slasher horror character of our lifetime.
So you want me to make the argument?
Well, I saw like an old SB Nation piece where when asked about favorite movies, you brought up Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger is number one. And the other two don't even come close. The reason being is, now some people might say, well, Freddy's kind of a baby face now because if he's on there, everyone likes him. Well, because he's so good at his job that you want to see him more. I was Freddy Krueger for 3 years at Halloween. Every single year for like 8, 9, 10, I was Freddy Krueger. I wasn't Jason. I wasn't Michael Myers. I was Freddy Krueger. And that is why Freddy Krueger is the man in horror films. And I mean, the dude comes at you in your dreams. I mean, Jason comes out of a pond, like a lake, like grow up, like, Halloween, Michael Myers, it's great. You come out Halloween, like imagine going to sleep. You can't sleep. You're not allowed to sleep. I wasn't sleeping because I thought Freddy Krueger was going to get me in my sleep. He's going to pull me under the bed like Johnny Depp. Right. So I am definitely a Freddy Krueger guy.
Miz, your ability to cut a promo on anything is second to none. I have one half of this story, so I'd love to get your take on it. Maximum Male Models, Mace Mansoor, they had made some pitches to WWE Creative, this sort of like fixer gimmick where they were sort of the heavies for a to-be-determined superstar. From my understanding, they brought that concept to you. Can you tell me a little bit about sort of what you thought of that and if you thought it had any legs to sort of move forward and become something in WWE?
Yeah, I loved it. I remember Mansoor showing it to me, the video that he made. Like they made that on their own. I don't know if it was if they had help with someone writing or editing or whatever it was, but they put it reminded me of me and Morrison when we first started, and we weren't getting the time we thought to develop characters, and so we created the Dirt Sheet, which was a YouTube show that allowed people to see our characters. We wanted something like, it was before YouTube became a thing, right? It was like 2006, so 2007. And we started doing this show, like it was like an SNL talk soup. We just make fun of everyone, do impersonations of people, kind of getting our characters out there, right? And so we took the initiative. We did that. We wrote it, we edited it, we did everything, and we put it out there. And when Mansoor showed me that, it reminded me of what we used to do and what I feel, talent that really, really wants it needs to do. You go the extra mile to say, hey, this might work. And guess what? The writers might look at that and go, this is amazing. We need to do this. Or, wow, I see this concept. Maybe we could use this here, here, or here. But they see that they're putting forth effort, like real effort into their character, and not just waiting for some writer or producer or even Triple H to come to them and say, hey, we got this thing for you. Hey, we're going to try and do it on our, not necessarily on our own, but we're going to try to give you something. And I liked it.
Did
I
you
thought it
ever
was well
hear any
done.
feedback about it from
I
WWE's
didn't.
end?
No, I didn't.
All right, too bad. I think it would have been cool. Last one, and
It
I'll
would
let
have
you
been cool.
go to tie this all together in the most appropriate way. I read off some. I couldn't read off all the accomplishments off the top of the Miz, but I would like to know, to tie this all back to WWE Legends, Biography, Sunday on A&E, what's at the top of the Miz's bucket list as a WWE superstar as of July 11th, 2024?
Well, I got to win the Royal Rumble, right? And I think right now at the top in this day, like today, it's to do something at SummerSlam in Cleveland Brown Stadium, because it's a stadium I grew up watching. And I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, because I don't think we'll ever be at Cleveland Brown Stadium ever again, because who knows if it's even going to stay there. So I look at it as a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I don't know if that opportunity is going to happen. And it's my hometown because of how much this card is stacked. It's a very difficult card to get on.
Okay. Well, let's make it happen. I'll have my
Please.
fingers crossed for it, Miz.
Me
I want to
too.
leave you with the last word. So very quickly for me, guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Let us know, what is your favorite moment in The Miz's career? Plus, let's do some matchmaking. Who would you like to see The Miz face, team up with, etc. at SummerSlam in Cleveland on August 3rd. Check out A&E, Biography Legends, The Miz, this Sunday. Mr. Miz, if there's anything you want to tell the people on the way out, the floor is yours.
I mean, I think you said it all. And just thank you very much for allowing me to fulfill my dreams and just enjoy my life. And I hope you guys get to watch and observe, and hopefully it motivates you to do something more with yours. So go ahead and be awesome.